y estoy aquí, soy miembro de Santa María por más de 30 años y últimamente estoy activamente, bueno, siempre he sido voluntaria del comité y hoy me han dado la oportunidad de estar aquí como presidenta y les doy las bienvenidas a todos. Today, my name is Yolanda Quiroga. I'm from Guadalajara, raised in Tijuana, Baja California. Been in Seattle more than 40 years. I belong to St. Mary Church, and I've been in youth leader for 8 years in St. Mary Church. And the committee has given me the space and the honor to be the president of the committee. And I welcome you all very much. Thank you.
Hello folks, my name is Montserrat Padilla. I am undocumented and unafraid, transgender and unashamed. I am also the director of the Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network, a network that's working on deportation defense to ensure that our communities are ready to stand up and fight back when immigration comes tearing our families apart. A little bit about myself. I come from a mother who was a sweatshop worker and a father who worked his way up from washing dishes to becoming the chef. I'm very proud of the families and our struggle, and today I'm here to continue fighting not only for my family to one day be able to reunite, but for families across the nation and across the globe to have the safety to not have to be forced to migrate and to be ready to be reunited. So this is why I'm here today.
The power of the march. ¿Por qué marchamos? Un año más y seguimos en la lucha. El comité y la coalición 1 de mayo con todos ustedes seguiremos marchando hasta tener una forma migratoria para todos. En la misma historia, por más de 20 años marchando, tenemos varios triunfos y vamos a compartir un poco de ellos. One more year of marching and we continue in the fight. The committee with the May Day Coalition, together with all of you, will continue to march until we get an immigration reform for all. Yes. In the history of our 20 years of marching and organizing, we have some victories, and we'll talk a little bit about those. We are working.
So before we get to our really amazing speakers that we have to you all today, I would just want to take a minute to acknowledge this moment, the fact that it's been over a year where some of us have not gotten to share space. And so I want you to look across from who you are with right now and say hello to someone who you have not met. It's important that we remind ourselves the value of sharing space because it's something that we took for granted and the world showed us that we cannot take that for granted. And so take a minute to get to meet someone new and thank them for being here and struggle with you and in solidarity. So vamos a empezar un minuto nomás para que se introduzcan. Llevamos más de un año de no poder compartir el espacio y quiero que conozcan a una nueva persona en este espacio que no conocían antes. So les voy a dar un minuto para que se introduzcan. Okay. It is important that we know who we're fighting this movement with, how we're building this movement, because together we have done so much. We've kicked out Trump from his office, and we've won big in our state legislative victories.
Queremos compartir un poco de los triunfos que hemos tenido. Uno de ellos es haber kick out Trump. Darle una patada a Trump y sacarlo, algo así. Bueno, recientemente el estado de Washington ha obtenido 340 millones para Washington Immigrant Relief Fund y el total son 467 mil millones que han sido para los inmigrantes. Y eso es una batalla que se luchó muchísimo entre muchas organizaciones. Recently, we have gained 340 million was approved for Washington Immigrant Relief Fund, and a total of 467 millions being to Washington State. So all this has been won because of a hard work from a lot of people and a lot of organizations.
And so we'll get to hear more of those victories by the upcoming speakers. So vamos a empezar con la gente que va a empezar.
Vamos a presentar a los primeros que van a hablar. María Isabel Quijano, de El Salvador, organizadora comunitaria de ya hace más de 20 años y miembro y voluntaria de las siguientes organizaciones: King County Promoter Network, promotoras de South Park, Colectiva Legal del Pueblo en Buren, Coalition de Trabajadores de Salud Comunitaria, Migrantes y Refugiados, Latinx Board, Junta Latina de Salud, Consultora de Latino Community Fund, Organizaciones Entre Hermanos, entrenadoras del proyecto de CPR, Resucitación Cardiopulmonar, miembro activa del Grupo de Mujeres Sin Fronteras, organizadora de Círculos de Casa Latina, miembro activa de la organización del comité. Bienvenida, Isabel.
Buenas tardes a todos y todas. Para mí es un orgullo estar aquí y decir que he representado y sigo representando a todas estas organizaciones que me cobijaron y me adoptaron en cierto momento y también me enseñaron mucho para llegar hasta acá. En este día quiero hacer una breve reseña de nuestro gran querido Martin Luther King. Hemos aprendido a volar como los pájaros, a nadar como los peces, pero no hemos aprendido el sencillo arte de vivir como hermanos.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Maria Isabel Quijano. I'm so humbled to be here with you, all of you today. I am very thankful for all these organizations that took me under their umbrella and have taught me so much. They adopted me, and I'm so honored to be here representing them. I would like to share a Martin Luther King quote. We have learned how to fly like birds. We learned how to swim like fish, but we haven't learned the simple art of living like brothers and sisters.
Por eso no me duelen los actos de la gente mala, me duele la indiferencia de la gente buena. Con eso termina la frase de él y por eso yo también la quise traer a colación ahora, porque eso es lo que muchos nos confunde también y por eso no hemos alcanzado muchos de nuestros propios logros, muchos de nuestras metas hasta este día.
For that, bad people's acts don't hurt me. What hurt me is good people's indifference, and that's how the quote ends. And that hurts me a lot because it's a lot of work that we have done in a way, like a lot of goals that we have shared in common for so long, and they haven't been accomplished because of this.
How are you doing?
Me hicieron una entrevista de qué es el Día del Trabajo. ¿Qué es el Día del Trabajo para nosotros? No tiene que ser simplemente como otro día más del Día del Trabajo. Tiene que ser diferente. Tiene que ser diferente porque nosotros, como Día del Trabajo, tenemos que marcar la diferencia en que tenemos que ser visibles, no más invisibilizados.
Someone interviewed me and they asked me what was Labor Day. So Labor Day, it's not just another day or another holiday in our country. It also means to make ourselves visible, to stop making us invisible.
La mayoría de los presentes que estamos acá, estamos convencidos de que son tiempos difíciles los que estamos viviendo en nuestras vidas. Es necesario que hagamos un alto y veamos con seriedad la difícil situación global que estamos viviendo. No solo en la gran desigualdad con que se requiere resolver la violencia, las guerras, el racismo, las inmigraciones, las discriminaciones, el fundamentalismo, la pandemia misma, entre otros.
The majority of us here today, we acknowledge that we are living in very difficult times, but it's also necessary that we make a stop and realize with a lot of sincerity that this global difficult situation, it's not just inequality, but there is a lot to do in terms of violence, war, racism, immigration, discrimination, the fundamentalism, the pandemic, and others.
En esta última me voy a detener un poco más, porque como community health worker, promotora comunitaria o simplemente alguien de la comunidad que le ha tocado vivir, oír y por qué no decir sentir el virus bien de cerca, oyendo a las familias afectadas, atendiéndolas o en lo que ha sido posible durante y después de la cuarentena. Porque cuando escucho a las familias que les han quedado las secuelas del virus, no solo es físicamente, sino también en lo material, con meses de renta, recibos y muchas precariedades que ya sabemos.
I would like to stop just for a moment and a little bit on the pandemic, because as a community health worker, or promotora comunitaria, or just simple as someone from the community, I have actually to live the virus very close to. And not just from my family, but also from families that are very close to me, hearing other families, helping them as much as that's been possible for me after they have been quarantined, after contracting the virus. Because when you hear these people's consequences after the virus, it is really, really hard for them, not just physically to come back to their normal lives, but also to actually overcome the difficulties financially and all the necessaries that they have.
Esta pandemia nos vino a dejar bien claro la gran necesidad que tenemos de los unos a los otros, que tenemos una responsabilidad con nosotros mismos, pero también con el mundo entero. Ya hemos gastado mucho tiempo en estarnos degradando entre nosotros mismos y hemos dejado atrás muchos valores, como la ética, la bondad, la fe, la honestidad, porque nos hemos sumergido en vivir en una superficialidad que no nos ha servido para nada, convencido de que solamente nos podemos salir y ganar todo lo que nosotros nos propongamos, organizándonos, uniéndonos, solidarizándonos, alcanzaremos.
This pandemic has put on the table a lot of struggles that we have in our lives. But we have a big responsibility with everybody else, between ourselves and with the whole world. We have wasted so much time on the moral degradation and the fundamentalism of a lot of things. We have left behind like the honesty and being kind with each other. And all this time that we have wasted, it's just wasted time. So I'm very convinced that only organizing us, unifying us, we will actually accomplish our goals.
Alcanzaremos una reforma migratoria unificadora, una reforma migratoria que no nos desestabilice más, porque las reformas que nos están proponiendo solamente son una reforma que no nos está cumpliendo con nuestras demandas. Es una reforma migratoria, bueno, aquí no quieren que use las palabras como nosotros las usamos, ¿verdad? Pero las migajas que nos están dando no cumplen nuestras demandas porque nos desestabilizan como familias. Siempre nos dan los que ellos quieren y no lo que nosotros demandamos, lo que nosotros necesitamos. Así es que si nosotros nos unimos, nos organizamos, nos consolidamos en una sola voz, en un solo pueblo, jamás vamos a ser vencidos. Así es que en mi pueblo, El Salvador, también existe el dicho que dice: dale salvadoreño, dale, que no hay pájaro pequeño que se detenga en su volar. Gracias.
She's very convinced that only by unifying us and like fighting together, we will actually will achieve having a immigration reform that is actually equal for everybody. They've been sugarcoating a lot of their plans, and it's not actually unifying any of us. It's not giving us what we need, what we deserve. So back in my country, we have a quote that it says that the bird flies and nothing stops it. So we want to make sure that I want to pass the message that when we become one family, when we become one voice in our community, we can achieve anything that we want to achieve. Thank you.
Un aplauso a Isabel, por favor, todos. Gracias por tu liderazgo, Isabel, como siempre, todos los años, aquí en la lucha. Up next, we're going to have an amazing speaker. We have Baraket. Baraket Quiroz, who serves as a liaison on race and social justice major incentive at the Seattle Center, is committed to advance racial justice and serves as 2 years in the Community Involvement Commission. He's also the chair for the Coalition of Immigrant and Refugee and Communities of Color. So give it up for Baraket.
Thank you, Montserrat, for the introduction, and thank you for all for coming today. And of all, thank you for our committee for becoming a voice for the voiceless people year after year. May Day, also called Workers' Day, and commemorating the historic struggle and gains made by workers and labor movement, observed in many countries on today, Saturday, May 1st. In dozen countries around the world, however, May Day has been recognized as an occasion for demonstration and rallies in support of workers' rights. Inspired by the American movement for a shorter workday, socialists and unionists around the world began celebrating May 1st, May Day, an International Workers' Day. Immigrants like me and most of you here are integral part of the community workforce. As of 2014, immigrants composed of 17% Washington workforce and contributed to 4.2 billion in state and local taxes. 60% of the Fortune 500 companies based in Washington was founded by immigrants of their children. The contribution of those individuals to our business, economy, and community are critical to our success as a state. However, Washington state and tax code is the most regressive in the nation, and we call it sometimes the up-down tax reform. Households with the lowest income pay tax a share of their income at a rate of 7 times higher than the richest household. This is completely upside down. With the right movements, we should lead the nation in education, healthcare, and overall quality of life. But our upside tax code holds our state back from having resources necessary to invest in those foundations that makes our state thrive. If we can't finance for war, why can't we finance for healthcare and education? Whatever we invest in education, we are investing in the future of this country, and education should be a right. I am here in the spirit of Martin Luther King quote. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice anywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. What affects one directly affects all indirectly. We should not need to wait until we are able to conduct a full and thorough investigation before we act to stop rape as a weapon of war. We should not have to count the graves of children before we act to stop starvation and crime. It is an urgent humanitarian crisis and a threat to international peace and security. Soldiers have burned, looted, and stores and crops destroyed water facilities, vandalized and ransacked clinics and hospitals and pillaged shops, schools, factories. Ethiopian forces, EU drones, Amhara vicious militia, and Eritrean forces have accused of genocide, mass looting, pillaging, and wanton destruction everywhere from banks to crops and to hospitals. In Tigray, which is my hometown, is sexual violence and systematic starvation has become a weapon of war. The world must stop in now and call assault as is what it is, a war crime. In recent months, credible reports of war crimes and crime against humanity have started to trickle out, including evidence of ethnic cleansing and genocide against Tigrayans. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has referred act of genocide and ethnic cleansing. The world knows enough to say the war crimes are happening in Tigray. They need to act. In the spirit of solidarity, I ask your unconditional support to end genocide and ethnic cleansing in my birthplace, Tigray. The war in Tigray has no end, and the reports of killing, rape, and looting are still happening as I speak. The growing humanitarian crisis has displaced hundreds of thousands and people, over 4 million people are in dire of human assistance. In the spirit of solidarity, join us to condemn in the strongest possible terms report of atrocity and gross violation of human rights, rape, and killing against civilians, including rape, torture, forced displacement, and disappearance, act of ethnic cleansing, extrajudicial killing, the looting and the destruction of the medical facilities and restricted access to aid. Join us to boycott Starbucks with imports of coffee from Ethiopian fascist regime. Long live solidarities of the workers around the world. Mirza Fasih Mira. Thank you so much.
Give it up for Barricade una vez más. Thanks, folks, for joining us. Up next, we're going to spice it up with some performance, with some vida, some music. Va a ser Lilia solo después, but we're going to have some music right now. Up next, we're going to have Jarrell Rel B. Free Davis. Born and raised in South Seattle, Jarrell is at the intersections of hip-hop and grassroots organizing. Nacido y criado en el sur de Seattle, Jarrell se encuentra en la intersección de hip-hop y organizando la base. Give it up for Jarrell.
Thank you. I got background dancer? Yeah. So I'm gonna need y'all to stand up though. You gotta give me energy. You can't be sitting down and shit. So go ahead and stand up, you know. I know we've been marching, but y'all, you know, we're out here for this international solidarity, putting things together. As was said, I'm from the south end of Seattle, born and raised in this city. I represent a neighborhood, Rainier Beach, and I want to lift up the young folks that are being incarcerated, young folks that are being brutalized and punished. And as we think about, JM said something earlier that was really important. JM made a connection between the prisons and the labor movement. And so I really want to lift that up, especially this concept of punishment. How you think about punishment actually influences the carceral system, because it's very similar to what happens in schools, detention, suspensions. And we can look at the rates of who is suspended and expelled in school and who is put in prison in this society. And so I just want to make that connection. In the West Indies and Jamaica, there's a saying, there's a proverb. It says, they are the big tree and the people are the small axe. And so I'm going to do a song called Small Axe, and you just got to give me some energy. Let me hear y'all say, can't say why. Say, can't say why.